yourself to the cold water throughout the tour.
Oh, good.
Oh, nice.
Also down the back on my left is a marine toilet.
Cold water. I've drunk a lot, but it doesn't have to be.
Now as we head up the river here, folks, I'll tell you as much as I know about the place. We'll just keep checking along the banks as we go up for any wildlife. We might be able to see a few different types of birds this afternoon.
Any
Might
crocodile?
even be lucky enough to spot a crocodile. So there we go. So just coming up on either side of the river, we've got these two large cliff faces. This is the entrance into the gorge system. So we're just entering the first out of 13 gorges that we have altogether. Now the reason we have these 13 gorges is because the river has been separated into 13 pools of water due to natural rock bars. Now the entire gorge system stretches to about 16.5 kilometres. This first gorge is the longest of all 13. This one here is about 2.5 kilometres long.
Wow.
It's a sightseeing but from there. Maybe should walk up.
Now as for the river itself, we're travelling upstream on the Katherine River. So this Katherine River starts in a dry catchment up at the northeastern end of the park. Now being a dry catchment means that the river is entirely rain fed. So this is all fresh water. Now the river flows down past the township of Katherine. It eventually flows into the Daly River. And then the Daly River heads out into the Timor Sea near a little place called Anson Bay. So we're roughly about 400 kilometres. As I was saying, we're roughly about 400 kilometres upstream from the sea, so this river's got no tidal effect, but the river level does change throughout the year, and that's because of our two seasons, the dry season and the wet season. Now the dry season goes from April through to November, and the river here roughly sits at about 6 metres deep during the dry season. But November onwards, in our wet season, we get about 1,000 millimetres of rainfall up in the catchment. So as all that rainwater starts to flow into the gorge here, that's when the river level starts to change. Now it fluctuates quite a fair bit during the wet. It all depends on how much rainfall we get upstream overnight. The river can rise or fall a metre every hour. So in the very peak of the wet season, which is usually the end of January, when we get our big monsoonal rains, the river level will rise another 6 metres higher than what it is today. So quite a fair bit of water coming through here in the wet. Now some water markers further upstream that I'll point out to you is just to give you a bit of a visual idea. But a bit about the culture and the history of the gorge. This is all Jawoyn country that we're travelling through. So the Jawoyn people are the Aboriginal custodians of the gorge system. And the name Jawoyn is spelled J-A-W-O-Y-N. Pronounced as if you would say Darwin with a J. Now Jawoyn people have been living up the river here for many thousands of years. But the first non-Indigenous explorer to come up into these parts was a man named John McDowell Stewart. So the namesake of the Stewart Highway. Now Stewart was a Scottish explorer based in South Australia, and he led quite a number of expeditions up into the north here. All of these expeditions were funded by a man named James Chambers. So what we have up here today are a lot of these rivers and creeks named after Chambers and his family. Now this Katherine River was named after his second eldest daughter. But a few other examples, you may have heard of the Mary River, the Edith River, or the Flora River, which were named after the other daughters. Now on Stewart's final expedition, he ventured up here in 1862. And as he had a bit of a look around, Stewart discovered that the Northern Territory had a lot of potential for pastoral development. So with this discovery, just a year later, the South Australian government decided to annex the Northern Territory.